Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. We are entering week one of the NFL playoffs. Wild card,
Week
baby.
19, baby.
Um, I have to make one quick confession, and I'm just gonna admit to it here because I wanted to say it to you earlier today, but I felt so stupid. I didn't realize until about 10 o'clock this morning that Jags loss eliminated them from the playoffs. Dude, I looked at the bracket and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, holy shit.
Really?
Yeah, dude, there was like nine different teams in play. Like, dude, I don't know. Like, we were you
If
were talking about that division having three teams in the freaking playoffs.
well, then hold on. If that's true, then let me. If you didn't know that, then maybe you didn't know this. Had they won their game, they would be going against Buffalo, and Pittsburgh would have been eliminated.
No, I'm aware.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are
No,
you
because
sure you're aware of this
because I
obvious
looked into
information?
it. But the reason why was because nobody really talked about it because as bad as the Jags were playing, everybody just still assumed that they would win that, you know? But
Oh yeah, no. I mean, yeah, yeah,
what a
no. They
terrible, what a
they're
terrible
done.
loss. They were what, 8-3 at one point?
They were they were um They were 8-3, and they cover a lot of this on First Things First. So I'm not going to say too much on it. I know you want to watch it, but I mean, it's just I think it's still an injury thing, and it's
100%.
what I texted you. You got mad about it, where it's like if the sun ain't shining for Trevor Lawrence, he's not going to play extraordinarily well. Now
That's so stupid, though.
he's not the only quarterback this year to be playing hurt. They've been saying Jalen Hurts has been hurt all year, and I know what's been happening to the Eagles, but they started 10-1. Trevor Lawrence got hurt in the one game that they've won since then, I'm pretty sure. He wasn't even playing.
But you're acting like they all have the same injuries. If they all have the same injuries, yeah, every injury affects people differently. Like for you, the way you say that, you're like, oh, Trevor doesn't. You're. It's like you're saying Trevor doesn't do good in high pressurized situations. It's like no, Trevor just doesn't play. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Okay, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what to
I
tell
think
you.
we knew that one.
What?
I said I think we knew that one.
Well,
Shit.
that's what you're saying though, because
Well, well, well. It's. I mean, it's a bad situation in Jacksonville any way you put it, because we still got you still got to consider Christian Kirk's out. That every team, every if not every, most if not every team has faced some big adversity this year, right? I mean, even the Ravens losing Mark Andrews. That's friggin' Lamar Jackson's dude. He's about as important of Lamar Jackson as Travis Kelce, arguably, I would say. I mean,
I just don't think that's fair to put on
I
Trevor
just
Lawrence. Though I don't think that's fair at
I
all.
just Okay, how about this? I'll say this. He's on he's on my radar now. Now he's on a radar where it's like, all right, is he, because when he came into this year, I felt like he was on my radar for like, all right, is he really going to take that next step and be one of like the big guns in the AFC? And now I feel like we're back to the year two mentality of, does he have what it takes to be in the consideration to be a big gun? And after year two, we were like, yeah, sure. He won a playoff game. He had a good stretch there at the end of the season. And then at the beginning of this year, he was doing fine. But then he reverted back to going 2-6. So
Because he was on,
I
because
think
clearly,
we're kind of
like
back
you
to
just
where
said,
we're on, Trev.
because clearly, like you just said, he was injured. That's why I just don't like. So are you? So is Joe Burrow on your list too? Then for next year of players that are either washed or not? Like,
Well, no, that's I mean the guy was actually out. He wasn't playing the game.
okay, I understand, but your point is, your argument to me was that you were like, oh, he doesn't. When the sun ain't shining, it's like, yeah, when Trevor Lawrence is hurt, he's not. He okay, sure, I'll give you that. When he's hurt, he doesn't play well as the other greats when they're hurt. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
just thought
I
that
mean, I just
I'm not putting
I
that on.
think there's a I think there's a difference between not playing well when you're injured and playing how poorly Trevor Lawrence played when he was injured. Like these are games that they should have won, whether or not he was. If he's healthy enough to be in the lineup, he should be winning these games. It's not like he had like some incredible opponent. They had the damn Tennessee Titans, and he couldn't.
Oh
And it was
yeah,
like, all right, lead him down the field. You couldn't even get a first down.
yeah, they should have. They should have won that game. There's no excuse for that one. I'm just not about to do the whole. They're gonna say this whole all off season is Trevor Lawrence. Is he washed? I'm like it's like come on, man. Like no, like not going to that far yet. We're so like um what's the word I'm looking for? We are so spoiled by watching some great, phenomenal quarterbacks do what they do year in and year out. That when a quarterback we think is like good, like a very good, if he has a bad rough stretch or something, it's like all of a sudden like, oh, he's washed. No, like he's just not. No, Trevor Lawrence isn't. Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Brady, Mahomes. He's not that. He's not. But he could still be a franchise quarterback for the Jaguars. I don't think that this proves that he can't be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I get it though. It was a disappointing season. It was. I mean, you know that for me. I had them going to the AFC
Yeah,
Championship.
you had him big, yeah.
So I guess we'll have to wait.
Sure. But we're not here to discuss the Jags, obviously. We are here to discuss the playoffs. All right, so we're just going to be predicting this week's matchups after short discussion. Yeah, we should start, in my opinion, with obviously the first game that is going to be played on Saturday at 4, which I do believe is the Texans and the Browns, which, by the way, I am so happy at least either the Browns or the Texans are going to be getting a playoff win. Like that's great to me. I mean, these are two teams that, are looking like they're trying to start something new. It's particularly the Texans. I'm not sure how long the Browns can do what they've been doing this year, especially with the fact that Joe Flacco is probably after this year. I feel like the Browns are in a lot more of a win now mentality. And I think that win now mentality is going to push them to a W on Saturday. Nothing particularly wrong against Stroud, honest, or the Texans. Honestly, it's more of a compliment saying, hey, these guys are going to be so desperate to get this shit done now. You guys are pretty smooth sailing. This is your first year with this new franchise quarterback, potentially. He doesn't have his number one favorite target because he broke his fibula or something disgusting. Um, and it's a rookie quarterback up against that Browns defense. Joe Flacco's got all the experience in the world. All the signs are just kind of pointing toward the Browns home field. Yeah, I'll take the Browns on this one.
Yeah, I don't really have any much more to add. I have the same thoughts. Again, Texans overachieved this year. You know what I mean? Like, so they won. You know what I mean? Like in a sense of like they won this season.
Absolutely.
I think everybody kind of know. Well, I mean, I guess now we can't really say that everybody knows this team's going to be around for a while because who the hell knows? But this team has a lot of potential. And I think this possibly could be just the beginning for them. The Browns are rolling too. They got the experience. Their defense is, dare I say, elite. And yeah, I got, and again, like you said though, like no disrespect to the Texans. I even, to be honest, could see this being a blowout. But still, regardless, no shot at the Texans. Shout out to them. And yeah,
love the Texans. I would say I hope they win because honestly, going into the playoffs, I was like, yeah, I'll be pulling for the Texans, but it right now the scenario is both of these teams I'm really pulling for. So whoever wins this matchup, I'm not going to be upset and by, and yeah, we'll see. Should be a good one. Wait,
Dolphins.
Browns don't have home field. The Browns don't have home field. All right, so the one thing working against the Browns is they don't have home field. They have a much better record than Houston. So, just internally I thought home field, but no, Houston has home field. So guys, get out of the comment section. I figured it out. But yeah. All right. Next, Dolphins Chiefs. I was 110% on par to take the upset on Dolphins here until you told me that it was going to be 0 degrees in Kansas City when they play. And that being said, I will say, if there's one person that's not on the Chiefs that knows how to play in 0 degrees Kansas City weather, it's a former Chief who's on the Dolphins, Mr. Tyreek Hill. But the problem with that is, how is he going to get the ball without Tua turning the ball over, getting it to him? So I mean, like I said, I was gonna take the Dolphins on this one. I really was until I, kind of put a couple things together. It is at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are a lot more healthy than the Dolphins. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, you always hate when health is a factor for a team. I think the Dolphins will be much better offensively. In terms of health next week, I think Waddle should be back. Mostert should be back. It doesn't look good for Xavier Howard. Definitely doesn't look good for Bradley Chubb, unfortunately. And a couple more guys headed out this week that are smaller names, but nonetheless important people. So, yeah, it just kind of smells disaster for the Dolphins, which is really unfortunate when you look at the kind of year they were having very early on, like 3 games into the year. This was the Super Bowl favorite team, and now we're predicting a first round exit for them in a
Yeah,
wild card spot too.
yeah. The Dolphins don't stand a chance, and when I say that, I don't mean it's going to be a blowout. Like I think it could easily be a close game, but there's no way the Dolphins win this game. They have too many things going against them, in my opinion. The Chiefs really lucked out, man. Like, God, like, I mean, shit, um, the only way this could have been better for them is if they were playing the Steelers. But,
Yeah.
I think, I mean,
Or the Eagles somehow.
everything you said is accurate, and I just think too, with how terrible the Bills looked and still beat the Dolphins yesterday, like, and the Dolphins the last few weeks, man, even in their wins, just haven't impressed me. Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs. Arrowhead Invitational is is gonna happen.
Well, we'll see what happens week 2. If All right, thank God I remember this. If you are a longtime fan of this very new channel, you might remember when Nick Wright got tattooed on his arm, 20-0, never a doubt, and then blew it. I did a little tattoo for myself. Do you remember what I wrote on my arm? Week 2.
No.
Chiefs second round exit, never a doubt.
Mm.
So, and you laughed. And I said, hey, it's kind of a joke, but I kind of hoped it to be true. So, we'll see.
You're still standing on that?
I'll stand on. Hey. I am, what do they say? Mr. Consistency. Mr. Consistency over here. You'll see that later. Who's the next matchup?
I'll take it over from here, rightfully so. Next matchup is the first Sunday game, Steelers versus Bills. And let me just say this, right? Before the word on the street is that TJ Watt is going to make an attempt to play. That's the word on the street.
You shouldn't, man.
What? Why? It's the fucking playoffs.
Okay, that's good point. Good point.
Like, it's not like, come on. But anyways, I try not to let, and I genuinely don't think my bias is getting involved here. The Bills have looked like shit for the better part of a month. This shit show has to come to an end at some point.
Hmm.
And it can against a very good defensive team like this, and a team that is kept rolling right now. So I'm taking the Steelers over the Bills. And yes, this is consistent with what I've been saying about the Bills. They don't look good.
I didn't say anything.
No, but I'm saying the Bills, when's the last time you think the Bills have looked good? I get it. They're winning games, but like we're in the playoffs now.
I mean, they looked pretty damn good when they beat the Cowboys.
That was like 4 weeks ago.
It looked pretty damn good. Yeah, I
That's
mean, yesterday wasn't a beautiful victory, but it was still a victory against a playoff team. They beat a playoff team.
And what do the Bills do in the playoffs? What do the Bills do in the playoffs?
They don't lose in the first round to Mason Rudolph and the Steelers.
Well, they're going to. And if you
You're
think
thinking
that's
Mason Rudolph Steelers.
and if you think that's so far fetched, like I honestly don't know I don't know what's wrong with you. If you really think that's that far fetched, it's one thing to.
Let's just hear what the other points your barber told you. Come on, what were they?
Oh no, you don't want to hear his point. I'm saying nothing that he thought. I'm saying nothing he thought. He thinks Ben Roethlisberger's coming back this year. I'm not taking any of his points.
Fair.
Believe me.
All right, at least you can draw a line. At least you know how to draw a line.
Fuck you for that.
Well, now it's my turn to talk. Now this is what the viewers all came for. The Bills are going to win this game. I do not think the Bills had a horrible game yesterday. I think they had a fine game yesterday. I think that was, at least in the first half, Stefon Diggs' best game of the damn year. He was out there. Now, the second half was the second half. But the first half, he was out there balling. Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen kind of looked like they knew what they were doing together again for the first time in forever. Because you got to remember, that duo was like the duo for the first like couple of years that they were together. And it was like, oh yeah, you got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, you got Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, you got Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen. We have not seen that from them this year, and yet here they are at the second seed in the AFC. And obviously, it's been a horrible road for them. It's been a really tough road. They are where they are still without that factor. Last night was the first time I saw that factor all year, really. Because remember, there was like a stretch from like week 3 to like week 10 or some BS where he didn't have a 100 receiving game. And like he'd never had something like that in his entire career. Now, I don't know what he got last night, but I just remember in the first half, he was making some crazy ass catches. Second half, whatever. They won the damn game. It was an ugly win, but it was a win against a winning team. And I thought, at least for a half, they looked like a convincing option to make it at least a little far into this playoff race. And yes, I think they are going to beat banged up, can't figure out who the hell their quarterback is, Steelers.
No, they know who their quarterback is now. But let me ask you a question. Right now, whose defense is better, the Dolphins or the Steelers?
I have to do a little more research.
I mean,
I don't do Mike. This is how little I care about the Steelers. This is how little I care about the Steelers. Who the hell did they beat this week? Oh, the Ravens. That's right. The backup Ravens. No, like I literally did not know for a second there. I don't pay attention.
Okay.
So they beat Travis or Trevor, whatever, Huntley and the Ravens. And meanwhile, the Bills defense just shut down Tyreek Hill and an offense that put up 70 points this year. I think it's fair to compare them. I think it's fair to compare them. What do you make me expect me to be like, oh, the defense is way better? What do you no?
Yeah, right now.
Come on. And TJ Watt's gonna be playing hurt.
Right now, this second, you think that the healthy Steelers defense isn't better than the Dolphins defense right now?
Dolphins.
No, I said the defense.
Yeah, the Dolphins defense or the Bills?
The Dolphins versus Steelers defense, I'm saying. Who's the better defense?
Oh.
That's what
Steelers.
saying.
Yeah, no, Steelers. I thought you meant the Bills.
You went on this whole rant like, oh, I don't watch the Steelers. I don't pay attention.
You meant the Bills. And I was like, of course the Bills defense is better. What?
But this is my point, right? The Bills weren't playing against a good defense. So congrats. Like Stefon Diggs look and Josh Allen, they look good for a half. Congratulations. But this isn't the Dolphins defense. Like, and the Dolphins aren't that same team that's put up 70 points at the beginning of the season. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like that's like, come on, man. You know that. You know they're not the same team. Not even close to the same team they were that put up 70 points. But
Well,
but
I mean, look, I know, but are we moving on? I'm done talking about the Steelers. Done
no,
talking about the
no, no,
Steelers.
no, 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 no. Because I need you to answer to some of this shit. Like you're
What?
acting like it's so baffling. And then you're gonna sit here and tell me, oh well, they had a good half, the second half, whatever. Like,
I I don't think that the 7 seeded Steelers are going with a third string quarterback who I understand has played better than their other 2 quarterbacks. I understand. I don't think that they can beat the Buffalo Bills.
and you
The
can quote,
second seeded Buffalo Bills. No,
yeah,
I don't think that can
yes,
happen. Why do I
yes,
sound crazy?
yes, the second seed Buffalo Bills that were also this close to not making the damn playoffs. So don't even say that either, because they're not your typical second seed team. We can move on.
They are definitely not. Nothing is typical in the AFC this year, though.
I agree.
You excited for them to re-sign Mike Tomlin and get another 9-8 record next year? All right, who's up next?
We got the Packers versus the Cowboys.
Um, yeah, I don't, and I do know it's a playoff match, but I don't think, at least I need to take too long on this one. The main topic of this is congratulations. I thought the Packers were going to get last in their division. You thought they were going to get first, but they made the playoffs, so your prediction was closer to being correct than my prediction was. So good take on that one. But I think this is where their luck I don't actually no, I'm going to stop there. I don't want to say this is where their luck runs out because I don't think anyone was going into this year expecting them to make like a run. So, yeah, no, they did what they needed to do this year. They made the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs. I think the Cowboys are going to pretty steady-handedly beat them, particularly because it's at home. I think it would be friggin' hilarious if the Cowboys lost. Would I like it? Not particularly. I like the Cowboys this year. Um, but yeah, I think the Cowboys are gonna win pretty convincingly. I think Jordan Love's gonna have a couple rookie mistakes. I think they might try to take a couple shots at the end there, the Packers, like they typically do. But at the end of the day, I think the Cowboys are gonna advance.
Yeah, same case for me as the Texans. Like, congrats Packers, you guys overachieved for the year.
Perfect. Yeah.
You know, but I do want to say this. I I had the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. Um, I have the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year. I'm just gonna go out and say that now.
All right, that's what we were leading up to. That's why we wanted to do a
I
bracket.
think
All right.
I think this is the Cowboys' year. I think they're playing the right football. I think this is Dak's year, and I think Lamar's gonna get the MVP.
Oh
And
yeah, he's good.
okay, let me ask you this: NFL, do they announced that MVP during the playoffs, right?
Not a question for me.
Well, I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, actually, I don't know. I don't want to. Yes, they do. They do. They do. I think that's gonna really rub Dak Prescott the wrong way because I think that Dak thinks he deserves the MVP, and I think that's just gonna.
That was gonna be my next question. I was gonna say, do you think he thinks he deserves it?
I think he
You do.
does, and
Hmm.
I think you can make a case. I think Lamar has had a better season than him and deserves it, but Dak also had a hell of a season, and I think I just this just and tell me if like I'm wrong on this. Like obviously you have your people who say this is the Cowboys year every year, and they have seasons where they've been in this position where it's like they could win it all. But however, the one thing it just feels different this year than any other year, at least to me. Like it really feels like this is their shot. And I think with the way they got to get through the 49ers, most likely, but
Yeah.
at a certain point, they got to break through against the Niners. No, I mean, how many years has it been? How many years in a row can that keep happening? So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Apparently 3, maybe 4.
yeah, yeah, I just think that this is the Cowboys' year. But with that being said, the Packers are probably gonna no, no, yeah, no, I got the Cowboys. And shout out to Jordan
With
Love.
that, with me just saying that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. That being said, the Packers are going to at least beat them in the first round, at least. So we'll give the Packers round 1, but the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl. Yeah. Um. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where something that feels a little different about the Dallas Cowboys this year. If they lose, we can't say that again with this crew, right? We can't
Right.
say, oh, this year feels different. We can't do it. And like, I don't care if it's next year. I don't care if it's 5 years from now. If it's Mike McCarthy, if it's with Dak Prescott, if it's with this great defense, CeeDee Lamb, we can't say it again.
Well, I don't care. Let me
So
tell you something.
now,
I don't care how much Jerry Jones loves Mike McCarthy. If they lose in the first round this year, McCarthy has to go. McCarthy has to be
yep,
fired. So
yeah, well, in the first or probably even the second round, but definitely the first. The first would be fucking ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. All righty. So next up, oh yeah, the team.
You know they call me Mr. Consistency.
Yeah, the team that you didn't think was going to make the playoffs is in the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. The Los
Hey,
Angeles
hey,
Rams.
let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to everyone, and you can live with it. You can believe it. You can not believe it. But this is how it is, and I know that I'm speaking the truth for myself. We were just starting a podcast. I did not want to look like an idiot. I did not want to take the Rams on a huge statement and say that this could be a dangerous team. So where did I settle? This team could hit 500. This team could be competitive. Now, I will be honest, when I saw the division they were in, I did think that they were going to have some troubles getting to the playoffs. But I still thought that the Rams looked good enough to do something. And now everyone else is seeing it. And now we've had a podcast for long enough, and I've had a few right decisions. I've had some wrong choices as well, but I don't think I'm going to look like an ass anymore when I make a big statement here. So here's my big statement: the Rams are winning this game. The Rams are going to beat the Lions, and they're going to advance. I don't know who they're playing in the next round, but there's a good chance I'd take them in round two as well. The Rams are a dangerous ass playoff team. And now, if you had said in week one, do I think they're going to be a dangerous playoff team? That's where I would probably have drawn the line. But I thought that the Rams had a good shot to make the playoffs, especially with the Vikings 0-3. And obviously, they were in the race at the end of it, but didn't work out for them. The Vikings were 0-3. It's just the teams that it looked like there was an opening, right? It looked like there was an opening. The Packers had just lost Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings were 0-3. It just kind of looked like, there was a spot. And I was like, it could go to the Rams. And when they went down 3-6, sure I rescinded a little bit, but I started taking off again. I got back into that swing, and now I'm hotter on them than I was before. I will admit that. But I'm sticking with my Rams. I love and hate this matchup because these are two teams that I really like. I've been cheering for throughout the course of the season. It's somehow it's a little different to me than the Browns and the Texans, where I like that matchup because it's like, hey, one of them can advance. But for whatever reason, this matchup, I feel it's the same kind of thing, but I feel the opposite, where it's like, damn, one of them is going to get eliminated. But I'm really glad to see at least the Rams or the Lions make it to the second round. I wish it could be both of them, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Rams with the upset.
Yeah, I have a couple things to say. First of all, like, yeah, you were right about the 500 pick. Like, you took your victory lap for that. Like, so like,
Absolutely.
so I don't know why you're going on this tirade about now that they're in the playoffs. Like, you were wrong about that. Like that part, you were wrong on.
I I told you. Well, look. Okay,
But no,
if we
no,
can
but
go,
no,
wait.
but no. People get to take their victory laps because they're bold enough to say the take. You didn't say the
I
take.
understand. I understand, and that's why I'm going to sum it up again in 15 seconds, 15 short seconds. Based on the tape, yes, I understand. But in my heart, I had just a kind of feeling, and I was right about it. And I didn't express it because I didn't want to look like an idiot. But that's how I felt. And you can take that as a lie, just me trying to get more of my gloat and glory, or you
No,
can take it as the truth, which it is.
no, nobody's saying you're lying, but it's like that doesn't mean that you get like you should have said it. That you would get
I
rewarded for
should have.
saying those things.
Rookie
Anyways,
mistake.
with that, I don't think that. Rams winning this game would be like that crazy of an upset at all.
I
But
mean, yeah, I guess they're hotter. They're way hotter. Yeah.
yeah, but also too, and let me just spoil it. I think the Lions are gonna win, but
Yeah.
the Nick Wright brought up a good point on his podcast the other day, where he was talking about the Rams team that won the Super Bowl, and he was like, and this is like this has something to do with why he thinks the Rams could go far. Like he was like the Rams weren't like when you think of the really like when you think of like the good Super Bowl teams in the last 20 years, that Rams team
Mhm.
isn't up there. Like that Rams team,
Yeah.
obviously they were good, they won the Super Bowl, but they weren't like this great team
Yeah, that was a weird year
at
because
all.
the Bengals also weren't like a crazy good runner up either,
Yeah,
I feel.
so like the Rams have the capability to make a run. They do in the playoffs. I'm not, like I'm not going to take
Yeah.
that away from them. Um, However, I just think at Detroit, their first playoff game, and I don't know, man. I also think it's really cool that Matt Stafford is going to be at the first like home Detroit playoff game in however many years. Like, I think that's just really cool. Just for the child in me, but yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't think this is gonna be a blowout by any means, but
Me neither. Me neither.
I do definitely
But
think well, hold on, let me talk for 2 seconds. Hold on.
I want to combat a
Um
specific point you made.
okay. Let me just
I just want to ask, like,
let me just finish. I think the Lions are gonna win. That was all I had to say.
you already said it, but I just wanted to ask. You say that it's their first playoff game in home in like 30 years. That's gonna add to the hype. That's gonna the playoff atmosphere is gonna be spectacular. I didn't consider that. However, I came up with a rebuttal almost immediately. Do not think that the Rams' overwhelming experience in the playoffs isn't going to counteract.
No, I don't. And overwhelming, I think, is enough. I
What
get
the
it.
Super Bowl?
Yes, that's we're talking about 1 year though. Like to me, that's like, and then you think about the Rams that year. I don't like I get what you're saying, but the Lions to me have been on a clear mission this year, and they've, for the most part, when they've had to, have kind of stood up to the plate for the most part. So I don't expect that to be any different. But again, I'm sitting here and saying I won't be shocked if the Rams win. I won't be. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I on and here's the thing. Here's the thing too. I think you could make an argument that this Rams team is better than the Super Bowl Rams team. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of the core remains the same. I think the two key changes are this: Odell Beckham to Puka Nacua. And I'm not, what am I going to act insane here and say Puka's better? No, absolutely not. I will say, however, it's not as big a downgrade as you might think, in my opinion. He set a lot of rookie records this year. He's a great young guy. Odell, no offense, obviously, but he was not in his prime either. Like, we're thinking like prime Odell right now. We're talking that catch he made on the Giants. That wasn't the Odell they had. They had a great Odell, and I still think that Odell was better than Puka Nacua. But then the other change is I was never, and I do mean never, a big Cam Akers guy. Even this year, at the beginning of the year, I was like, Cam Akers, name. I think Kyren Williams is better than Cam Akers was that year. And I think that the difference between Kyren Williams and Cam Akers outweighs the difference between Odell and Puka Nacua. So I think there's an argument to be made that this team, because those are in my opinion, the two biggest changes. I think there's an argument to be made that this team is better than that Rams team.
I just
I don't think I'm crazy for that.
yeah, I heavily disagree with that because I mean if you're talking about like yeah, like he had a really good rookie season, but like Odell got hot at the right time. You got to remember too with that season, and then when they got into the postseason, like that just doesn't hold a light to this Rams team with how hot they got, and you have to take that into consideration. I get what you're trying to say, but in my opinion, it's not that
Well, it
close.
sounds to me like you're trying to take a really great stretch that Odell had that year and compare it to the overall season that Puka Nacua had. That's not what I'm trying to do.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying you have to.
He got hot at the right time. That sounds to me like you're talking about getting hot. I'm talking about this
No,
whole season. Puka Nacua has been a threat.
no, hold on. No, my point is you have to take everything into consideration though. Like you have a wide receiver who can get hot like that, like that. Like you have to take that into consideration. That's not just like a something you can just skim past. Yeah, he has a chance in a couple of years to be on a level where he could be like that. But for right now, it doesn't hold a light to what Odell was capable of that year. It just doesn't,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, I think there's an argument to be had. You don't at the very least think there's an argument to be had about that? Like if you like about which Rams team is better? Because you were right earlier when you said, or Nick Wright was, I guess Nick Wright was correct in saying the Rams weren't like, like you look at that team, be like, oh, that Super Bowl Rams team, like, woo, like they weren't that team that year.
Yeah,
So if,
no,
if you're talking about like another Super Bowl winning team and trying to compare a non-winning year to them, then yeah, sure. But I feel like the Rams are a team that you don't have to do that with.
no. I just think what it is Odell just makes that much of a difference when it comes to this team. That's
Okay.
what it comes down to for me.
That's where we disagree then. But I don't think it's a huge disagreement. But I'll tell you what, I definitely take Kyron Williams over Cam Akers, overrated ass. But yeah, we can move on to the final game. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Oof. I
Can I
love,
just
love
can I just say that as much as I want um Baker Mayfield to go in there and beat the Eagles, like
beat the shit.
what I just can't believe so many people actually think that's going to happen. It's really like I'm trying I understand how the Eagles have looked the last few weeks of the regular season. I get it. I know they just lost to the Giants. I'm very well aware. But we're entering a completely different season. And it's not like the Bucks have looked well either, like the last couple of weeks. And
Yep.
so okay, if you think that the Bucks are gonna win, that's one thing, and that's fine. I hope they do. But I'm seeing people think it's like a no like debate, like it's not even gonna be a good game. People
I've been
really
seeing that. Yeah.
and people like credible people think it's like a no-brainer that the Bucks are gonna win. And I'm just so confused by that. I mean, yeah, there's a lane where I think they could. I think the Eagles will still not look great, but I do still think
Hmm.
that they'll win this game. I do.
And here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, and you'd think that big sports analysts would, but here it is that losing streaks end, right? They're on a horrible streak right now.
Just like
Predicting them
just
to win
just
this game is
just
just
like
predicting that losing streak is going to end.
just like winning streaks, Buffalo. Continue.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, to Mason Rudolph. Yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
anyways, no, and it comes down to this for me though. I'm taking the Bucks if the Eagles aren't healthy. If what I've been seeing from them all year is a lingering injury on Jalen Hurts, with the added bonus of Darius Slay was out last game. AJ Brown, I thought tore his ACL last game. He didn't, but the way he reacted, the fact that I thought he tore his ACL tells me that like next week, if he plays, he's not going to be himself. Devontae Smith 2 weeks ago left in a walking boot. If these injuries are on are as bad as they look on the surface, I am absolutely taking the Buccaneers. When you look at how horrible their defense has been, the Eagles' defense all year, injuries or no injuries, now they're missing Blankenship. I don't know what happened to him. I just saw he got knocked out of the game. The Eagles, I mean, their defense all year has been absolutely atrocious, whether or not it's been for injuries. Now the offense is starting to get banged up. DeAndre Swift didn't play. Actually, I'll take that one back. I think that was because of illness. If it wasn't though, he didn't play. This is a very injured team, and I think that on the surface, it looks like they are completely banged up. So I guess sure, I will take the Bucks because of that. Now, if if I'm overlooking this, if AJ Brown is a crybaby, I don't want to say that, but if like, he made it look worse than it was, if Devontae Smith was just precautionarily in a boot and they come back and start lighting up the field, I'm not going to be shocked that they win, right? But based on what I saw and how banged up this team looks, it's unfortunate in terms of how the Bucks are going to pull it off, but I think the Bucks are going to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, there's no debate that the Eagles defense looks terrible, but I mean, the Bucks putting up 9 points the other day on the Panthers. I mean, like you got to take
Good
certain
point. Good
things into
point.
perspective. Like, but the Bucks are capable of putting a lot of points on the board. We've seen that this season. I mean, they pretty consistently put up a decent amount of points, if I'm not mistaken, to a lot of teams. But
To this day, to this day, the best game of the year, in my opinion, was the game you and I watched between the Bucks and
Texas.
the Texans. You knew immediately.
Yeah.
Great game. No one talks about that game because it doesn't have any of the big teams in it. That was a fantastic football game.
Yeah, but like if it was like if the Eagle, I'm trying to think. If the Eagles were playing like, I'll tell you this much, and I mean you could say this is a shock or whatever, but if the Eagles were playing like the Rams first round, I'd probably take the Rams. Like there's there's like
I think it'd be crazy if you didn't.
most other teams is like, but it's just like, but even then, to what you just said, like I would call you crazy if you didn't. It's like we like we are still talking about the Eagles here. Like we are. And this is how I feel about the Chiefs too. It's like you can't like I get it with how bad they look. There's always, and yes, you're gonna respond back. There's always a chance. I know there's always a chance for every team, but especially with these two teams, there's always a legitimate chance that they pull something out of their ass and easily can win this game, which is why like I just people thinking that it's just like a no debate. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think they're really like looking at it from like a low hanging fruit. But yeah, I think the
I
Eagles win, and that's what I gotta say on that.
I cannot believe this realization I have just come to, where all the beginning of the year you were trashing the Eagles, and they're not looking convincing in these wins. They're barely pulling them out, and now here you are defeating them. They finally stopped. They always find some way somehow to win. They stopped finding that way. What?
Once again, you're misspeaking. I was speaking on them when they were 10-1, and people and you were saying, "Oh my god, oh my god." I said this multiple times. I kept saying if they want to win the Super Bowl, they can't do not if they want to win round one against the freaking Bucks. It's completely different. It's not the same thing at all.
I know. I look. I understand. What I'm saying is it's just so funny how the beginning of the year you were attacking them and now you're defending them. And I don't think that's anything to say on you, but maybe more so to say on the public opinion, how much
No,
that has
no,
swayed since then.
no. But I'm not defending them. I only think that they would beat one team in the playoffs right now.
You're defending them against, yes, but
Yes,
you're
because they
defending them
happen to be
against
playing.
you're
Oh,
defending them against the analysts. You're defending them against the analysts.
okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. The analysts are saying they're not good enough right now to beat the Bucks, and it's a landslide margin that they're not going to beat the Bucks. And you're defending them against those analysts, not you're defending them and saying they're going to go out and win the damn Super Bowl. This is a good football team. You're saying I think that's a little far-fetched. I think that they're good enough to beat the Bucks. Why are you saying they're not good enough to beat the Bucks? That's what
That's
I'm trying
fair.
to say.
Yeah, that's fair. No,
Oh,
you
fun.
still misspoke though on what I was saying, but I get what you're saying.
All right. Is that?
Yeah, that is that.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. It's that time of year. Let's go. We are in the playoffs. It is going to be the best month ever until the NBA and NHL playoffs begin. So, absolutely. Let's go, baby.
All
Go
righty.
Rams.
We will catch y'all on the next one.